Welcome to Ellida's Psychic, the Premonition Lab UK. Because of the trouble in the Middle East with Iran, America and Israel, I thought I'd do a quick reading because we're all a bit concerned about what's going on, and I thought it might be helpful if you had some idea of what the future holds. So let's have a look. Very long. But some of the most pressing questions seem to be at the moment, is the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, actually dead? Because initially when the news came out, I thought he wasn't, but I assume he must have died of his injuries. But I don't actually think there'll be any confirmation of his death, but I do think he has passed. So what we want to know really is who's in charge in Iran. Some reports mention that there's a 3-member leadership council, which includes Ayatollah Arifi, who might temporarily be in charge until a successor is chosen by the Assembly of Experts. Can you tell me, is that so? See, I don't pick that up, but I do pick up a group of men. So will the Iranian people rise up again? I don't think that they're going to rise up enough to control the next leadership. So will the change of leadership that comes from all of this be positive for the Iranians over the next 5 years? Sadly, I don't actually see that. Will they continue to be suppressed, and the Iranian people's rights not be top of the agenda? I'm afraid that that is the case. I don't think that they're going to be top of the agenda, and that this situation might not change for several decades. One of the things that's been asked is, actually, is this attack by America and Israel, is it legal? Will it be seen legal internationally? And is it going to be seen as illegal? But I don't get that. I don't think it will be seen as illegal. So will Iran retaliate further, as they've already launched missiles, drones and so forth at American assets and their allies in Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia? Is this going to continue? Yes, I think it will. But I say that with caution, but I also think that they're going to use other methods. I'm seeing shipping routes and transport hubs are going to be perhaps part of their targets. Will Iran attempt to close the Strait of Hormuz, which handles 20% of our global oil and trade? Yes, they will. If they are successful, it will not last. So will they use cyber attacks or their axis of resistance? Yes. So how high will the oil prices go up? Prices have already surged towards $80 to $150 a barrel. Will they go over $150 a barrel? Well, I'm not always very good at dealing with finances, but I would say yes. I think that they are going to go up. But I don't know if that will last. I don't think that that will last for terribly long. But will this lead to significant increases in the cost of living for Americans and others globally? And that would, of course, include us in the UK. And I would say yes, and that's a negative. And for food, yes. It seems worse for food in some ways, so there must be something going on that prevents our supply. So what is the end game for the White House's vision for the ending of conflict? Is the goal regime change? Yes, it is. And that's a negative. For some reason, I might pick that up later. And what takes over the current government? Will it be the mullahs? No, I don't get that. Or the shahs? I get that, but I get that as a negative. So will the late Shah's son eventually take over in Iran? I don't get that, no. So will the US avoid being sucked into a prolonged, years-long war? Yes, but it's not going to be good for them in many ways. So So does Iran currently have the capability to respond with a nuclear attack? No, I don't get that. Have the strikes then permanently disabled their nuclear ambitions? Yes, they have. They've had a big impact, but I would also say that they have some sort of backup with a close Middle Eastern ally. Is that Iran are going to have to submit for now. They are going to have to submit to the circumstances they find themselves in. Will the Arab nations declare war on Israel? I pick up a yes, but I think perhaps without military action. That's what I would say. And one thing I would ask is that because they want to keep a pathway open for a Palestinian state? Yes, I get that, but I also get that's a negative. So it could be that I'm picking up that even after doing that, that they won't get what they want. They won't get a Palestinian pathway. I just wanted to add, because obviously people are a little bit worried and I hadn't covered it and I felt that I should. Will the airports in the affected areas continue to be closed for the foreseeable? Because there's obviously a lot of people stuck abroad. What I can say is that I don't really, unfortunately, I might be wrong, let's hope I'm wrong, but I don't really see things returning to normal or more normal until April. So we've only just arrived in March, so that's not very good news for people if you're stuck somewhere, but that's what I see. And of course people might make their own way back and have different ways of getting back, but as a general rule I would say that we aren't going to see things go back to normal or move back into a more normal direction at least until April. So if people that are over in, say, Saudi or the Middle East and hoping to get help from the British, that's what I'm talking about. I don't see them coming up with anything perhaps for, say, 3 weeks or over the next 3 weeks. And can I ask you, will the Cyprus RAF base take any more direct hits again? No, I don't get that. I hope I'm right, but of course that doesn't mean there won't be attempts. You know, the same with Fairford. Will Fairford get a direct hit? No. Will there be an attempt? Yes, and I think there may be an attempt actually, but it won't be successful. It's as if somebody decides to work on their own or do something on their own. So I don't think it's anything to do with the bigger picture. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found this useful. You take care. Bye.